What's up, everybody? I am Tim.
I'm Jake with Uncommon EDC. How's it going?
And joining us tonight, you know this guy. I'm a big fan. Marine X. X, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining us, man.
Man, I'm doing good. Let me tell it. How y'all doing today?
Good, man. Good. What are you drinking? That's the first question. What the people want to know.
Man, I ain't got nothing in here but a dang on some well water.
Oh, come on.
I'm
man.
drinking a little bit of Bullet bourbon. Just it's like probably 6 ounces left in here, plus whatever's in my glass. So I figured I would just top it off.
There you go.
I don't know if I knock it all back, but we'll see how it goes, and then I'll smoke a stick as well.
I'm drinking one of those Voodoo Ranger IPAs. That's like the 9.5%. That stuff's pretty good.
Oh wow.
Nice.
34 degrees.
Yeah, for real.
Your studio setup's in the garage, right?
Yeah. So I work out of a my man cave set up in a 3-car garage, and one of the car garages is where I do my YouTube content. Gotcha.
Can I ask, are you using any sort of ventilation in there for your cigars, or it just kind of self-ventilates?
No, I have this. So Rabbit Air sent me one of their air purifiers 2 years ago, and it's like crazy powerful. It can
Nice.
purify 1,000 square feet in less than an hour. So if I don't have the garage door open, I have it open right now. Then this thing, plus I drilled a 12-inch hole in my drywall in the brick, and I installed an exhaust fan, so it pulls smoke out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because I smoke cigars, but I always just go outside.
Nah, I like to be comfortable because I have an AC in here also, so I
Nice.
want to stay in the AC.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Let's say hello to some of the folks in the chat. I see Randy's WSG, greatest moderator on YouTube. If you guys aren't subscribed to Randy, go give him a subscribe. I see my dude Jacob from Very Good Knife Company, Jeff, Greg. A lot of the regulars are starting to show up.
What up, everybody? I see some familiar faces in there too. Familiar names.
Yeah, I saw Rich over at True Budget EDC was showing you some love a little bit up there in the chat.
So
yeah, Rich he's great, man. He comments a lot. I know that Big I Did Design attacked him in one of my comments because
I remember that.
They didn't like his comment, and it prompted me to do a video. I just didn't like the fact that you're attacking people that could potentially give you money. So
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
that was
see
wild.
Griffin Pipes. He's a knife guy, but he's also in the pipe community. So I wanted to ask you this. So I smoke a pipe. Would you ever consider something like this, or is this too old man for you?
So in Afghanistan, I tried those, and it's just a lot of work. Like the reason I like cigars is because they're pre-rolled, they're ready for me. I don't have to pack anything, I don't have to clean anything except for the ashtray. And a lot of times it's like, I got 45 minutes before a meeting or before I got to help with the kids. Do I want to spend time packing tobacco, or did I forget to clean it last time? Or what if it doesn't light correctly? And the next thing I know, I got 20 minutes left.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. That's part of the reason why I prefer pipes, though, is the whole ritual of drying the tobacco, packing it, and then you can, I can either pack the whole thing full and spend 45 minutes with it, or I can pack it a quarter full and spend 15 minutes. And the other thing is, when this goes out, you can come back to it, and it's still got good flavor. Unlike a cigar, in most cases, I've found that when a cigar goes out and you come back to it, it's not the same.
Yeah, the only way I can come back to a cigar is I have to literally put a cigar cutter on it, snip the hot end off, and put it in an unused ashtray.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can revisit it. Otherwise, I'm done. It's done for. I'm not going to use it again.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we try to keep this to an hour. I've got a few questions that I want to ask you, so we're just going to jump right in if that's cool with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
So how did this whole EDC thing start for you? I think I have an idea, but why don't you tell us how you really got into knives and EDC gear as a whole?
I still don't think I'm into it. I think I'm real novice and kind of fumbling my way through crap. all the time. In the Marines, they issued us a Gerber Fast Tanto Auto S30V, and S30V was the bee's knees in 2010. Stainless steel scales, big beefy liners, aggressive tanto, partial serrations. Took it to Afghanistan, beat it up like a champ. And they also issued us some SOG multi-tools. The stuff they issued Marines was just so much different, you know, than the stuff that Gerber and SOG sells to regular folks. And in 2021, I was like, you know, I'm gonna start documenting some of the crap that I buy, whether it's survival, EDC, or prep stuff. I'm just gonna film some videos. We're already sitting around here. We can't go anywhere because of the pandemic. And so I fired up a camera.
So and I was going to follow up that question with why YouTube, how you got on YouTube. So it was just the pandemic, right? Being stuck at home, and you're already doing it anyway. So put it on film.
Kind of, sort of. So in 2014, I bought this camera. This is a Sony A5000. I bought it from this 16-year-old punk in a parking lot in Virginia. And his dad was watching a transaction. He wanted him to really, and I say punk because his parents bought this for me. He sold it to me for like 30% of its value 2 months after it came out. So for me, you're just wasting your parents' money, right?
Yeah.
And I tried a YouTube channel, and I failed. I tried to vlog daily, but I learned a lot about filming and how to upload on YouTube and stuff like that. And so, you know, when I revisited this in 2021, I already knew, like, all right, I know what I don't want to do because the shit didn't work last time, and I'm going to give it a go. But I never let this camera go because this was what taught me how to, you know, film myself, shit like that.
Do you ever use that camera anymore?
Yeah, I use it for thumbnails. So most of the time for thumbnails and stuff like that, I take this camera, and it does fantastic photos still. This thing's from 2014. It still smokes any cell phone camera that you'll get. The video's trash. I wouldn't, you know, I might do an Instagram reel with it, but for photos, thumbnails, oh yeah, this thing's a little beast. And you could probably pick these up on like eBay nowadays for like $180.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing things on a whole nother level camera-wise than us both. Well, I don't know what Tim films with. I just film with the Sony ZV-1, top-down only, single angle, no editing.
Man, I missed that camera, man. I gave that camera to my mom. She told me that she wanted to do Bible content. And I said, she's like, I'm going to read a verse. And I want to just show it. I want to show my hands. And so I would just love if you could just give me a camera. So, you know, I said, Mom, I want to upgrade cameras anyway. So I gave her this Sony ZV-1. And I have a different top down now, but I think about that camera all the time, man. But every time I make YouTube money, because I have a full-time job, I'll never go full-time YouTube. Well, I say never. Let me not say that. It's a low likelihood I'll go full-time YouTube. So every time I make YouTube money, I pour it back into the channel, buying cameras, buying gear, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm just now getting to that point too. I own a business that I do kind of day-to-day stuff. All my YouTube stuff goes back into the channel, but been able to get to the point where I'm breaking even at least. Still not profitable really, but everything I buy on the channel, I buy with channel money. I'm not spending stuff from my day job on it. So. Right.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it could be, you know, it's all dependent on views and stuff. For me, I kind of rely on, you know, I don't do a lot of sponsorships, but I do them every now and again with companies I built relationships with, like EcoFlow and TomTalk or Mint Mobile and shit like that. And so that makes it more viable where I don't have to heavily go out and just spend my own paycheck on the stuff.
Well, I'm a mortgage broker and interest rates fucking suck right now. So I'm filming on my iPhone and it shows, and I'm going to keep filming on my iPhone until interest rates change and people start refinancing and buying houses again.
Wow. Yeah, my wife is in mortgage. She got laid off. She got laid off a few years ago. She was an underwriter, and then she was all sorts of aspects of mortgage, and she was working for a builder for a few years. And mortgage is rough. It's rough.
Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, you have those good months and bad months, you know what I mean? But the bad months are really bad. You know, when you're working for straight commission, it gets tough. You know, she knows how it is.
Hell yeah. I know how it is too.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know, listen, I just whenever the old mortgage industry pushes her out through layoffs and her coworkers out and all that other type of stuff, I get it. It can be mean. Like I work, like my job is super secure, and so knock on wood, you know, fortunately, it is just a long shot that I get laid off. I work for the federal government, so it's a little bit easier going for me.
So it's better than what I did before. I was a high school teacher and a football coach for 20 years. And I wanted to ask you, you've got a background in education, don't you? Haven't I heard you say you did some stuff with Texas A&M, was it?
Yeah, I was an adjunct professor with Texas A&M School of Law. I taught one course a year. I taught it, so I mostly taught lawyers who were coming back for continuing learning or whatever they call it. Lawyers have to get to continuing education every year, and I taught law students. So I'm not a lawyer, but you don't. Every class you take in law school is not from a lawyer. So I taught risk management for your contracts, and so I did that for a while. I think when I become old, that's what I want to be. I want to be a professor when I'm old and gray.
And that's when you're going to have to pick up the pipe.
Yeah, I'll be that professor that's getting complaints because I'm smoking in my dang on. I'm smoking in the classroom.
Yeah, but when you're an adjunct professor, you can just tell them to fuck off anyway. It don't matter.
No, that's tenure. Adjunct is they'll boot your ass.
Yeah,
you know, like the reason I said former adjunct is because they decided they're like, we don't have enough lawyers signing up for your course. You know,
I hear you.
when it started 3 years ago, you had 30 lawyers. Now we're down to 12. It's not enough. I was like, all right, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, one thing I like, I was reading through your site today. I like that you have your ethics statement or your ethos statement up there for everyone to see.
Yeah, so there's a creator on YouTube. His name is Tom Buck. Shout out to Tom Buck. He created an ethics statement because he got tired of companies reaching out to him for him, and he made a video and he went through it, a long video. He went through it and he said, "Feel free to take it, crib it, use it." So I took it, I massaged it because it was really he mostly does audio and camera stuff.
Right.
So I had to massage it. But as soon as a company reaches out to me, I send it to them immediately. And if you can't agree to that ethics statement, then it makes it easy. We're not going to work together. It's mostly Chinese companies who are just like, oh, well, you know, if we send you something, you have to do a video. And I was just like, no, I don't. According to a lot of American companies get it. Benchmade, Olight's not an American company, but they have headquarters here in the States. EcoFlow, those companies, Vertex, Nutsack, they're just like, yeah, we're just going to send it. And unless they're paying me with an agreement, then they don't expect anything out of it.
Right. Yeah, I have something similar that I email out. Me and Tim were just talking about it. And yeah, you see a lot of like the smaller Chinese companies especially say, you know, I can't afford to send you something if you can't guarantee me a video. And I think the second point in there is that if I don't think it's something that I would actually recommend to my audience, I'm not going to make a video on it.
Yeah.
And so I get turned down, you know, every couple offers.
And that same thing that happens to me, I tell them, like, even if I agree to possibly make a video, you got to send me the product because I don't want to shit on your product on purpose. If it's going to be a super popular product, then I'm going to make the video. Say, for, you know, if you know, Leatherman just came out with that Leatherman Arc Obsidian. I bought it as soon as it dropped. I didn't want to, but I'm like, you know what? It's kind of the new hot thing. I got a veteran discount, so I bought it. And Leatherman has sent me stuff in the past, but if they were sending me that Arc and I had to shit on it, I would shit on it because it's going to be popular and people want to know if they want to spend money on it, you know?
Right.
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen on some of your videos where you mentioned that you borrowed that ethics statement from somebody, and you've said in your videos, so borrow it from me. So that's exactly what I did. I took pieces of yours and pieces of Jake's and sort of made it my own because I'm just now to the point where companies are starting to reach out to me. And it's a lot easier to just give them that and say, here, read this. If you agree to it, yes, I'll review your product, or no, or whatever. Then have to respond, email, all this bullshit. Just give them the statement. Here it is. And, you know, that's what it is.
And I agree with you. Normally what I do when I get an email from a company, I respond with, that looks interesting, or it doesn't. If I think it looks interesting, I'll say, that looks interesting. Read my ethics statement. Here's my P.O. box. If you want to send it, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
If you want paid content, here's my pricing. And then I just forget about them, and they'll either reach out to me or they don't.
So I've got a question for you. Kind of a two-part question. I was watching a video of yours today. It was about 6 months old. It's from your Cup of Coffee series or your Cup of Coffee playlist. And you were talking about adding value with your videos to the EDC space. So what do you think we as content creators in this space can do or should do to add value? Because I've only been doing it for 1 year, and I already find myself sort of pigeonholing myself into this overview review type of video. So what can we do to add value?
I think you got to think about what your goal is. My channel is not a value for value channel. Value for value meaning that if I provide this value, viewer, you're going to give me a view, or you're going to give me a super chat, or you're going to give me Patreon, or you're going to give me money. I consider that value for value, which is a viable way to do a YouTube channel. My channel is like, I get stuff and I'm documenting things I think are cool, things I may want, things I hate. So the value for me is, if I go back and watch it, am I going to enjoy my own video? That's really how I do my YouTube. You know, for when I'm dead and gone, my great grandkids can look at my YouTube channel and say, oh, that was great granddaddy X, if that makes sense. So I don't have a value for value channel. There are value for value YouTube channels in the EDC space. Accessorize Me, John Gadget, Best Damn EDC. Those are value for value. For me, I don't have the stress of this video has to add value or it's going to just blow up everything, if that makes sense. So for me, the value is just like, am I entertained, if that makes sense?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I try to do, is just not be so damn serious and kind of be entertaining at the same time. Just my dumbass shtick that I play when I make my videos. You know, it's all an act, but you know. So that's kind of what I try to do, is if I can talk about something and be entertaining at the same time, that's what I'm sort of going for.
Yeah, I've seen it. It seems like you're enjoying yourself. And I think that if you get down the pit, like the thing that stresses me out the most is when I get a product under embargo. I'm like, oh my God, like I agreed to accept this product. Sometimes I take payment, most times I don't. And it's stressful, like being forced to release a video at a certain day.
Yeah. Because
then I sometimes lose the value for myself. You know, I dropped a video for EcoFlow about one of their power stations, or Wingback and a pen, or CRKT has some knives that came out recently. I was under embargo, and I'm like, I kind of want to, I want to show folks, but you don't want me to. And so that type of stuff kind of sometimes stresses me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, I just like making cool shit, like sharing stuff that I like. And sometimes when you have a deadline, you just don't feel like recording that. Like, I want to go make a video about a pen of all things, you know, not this knife or this flashlight that's due today. And so, that's definitely a tough thing.
It can be stressful. I mean, sometimes I enjoy it. I did a review recently, or an overview. I can't really call it a review because for paid content, but for Farah bags, they're trying to get into the EDC industry, and it's a very small shop in Montana who are really good at designing bags. And I'm just like, I want to get this out for them, not under embargo, but I really want to get this out for them because I want to see if they can really pierce the market, and not necessarily. But then there are bigger companies, the Olights of the world, or Woobin, or whoever, and I'm just like, oh my God, y'all want it out. I'm not a part of your marketing team, you know. So
right. So sort of to follow up on that last question, is there any type of EDC content that you would like to see more of? I know every channel sort of does it a little bit differently. Is there something you would like to see that maybe you don't think there's enough of out there?
I think more content in regards to, you don't need this. So I do a lot of my cup series is just kind of shooting the shit, and like, I may show expensive gear, I may show gear that you may or may not want or need, but I really want to see more content from folks who are just lean heavy into, I have this because I want it. You don't need this crap. You know, just kind of like you know, I'm just kind of lean heavy into purposely being the antagonist when it comes to an everyday carry video, because it's just a lot of the stuff is vanity purchases.
There's no doubt.
And so I wouldn't mind people kind of standing on business. When I watch videos and I hear people saying, you know, I got this multi-tool and man, this knife is so awesome, or the pliers are so great, and they're creaming all over it. And I'm like, man, come up for air. You know, I want you to kind of lean into like, I got it because I wanted it, but you don't need it. You can get a Work Pro multi-tool, $15, and you'll probably be fine.
Yeah. My video tomorrow, as a matter of fact, that I've already recorded is something along those lines. So
okay,
it's kind of like, you know, and I kind of like to be the antagonist a little bit.
Okay.
Just to stir shit up. And I kind of like that about you because, you know, you'll show some high-end shit on your channel, but then you'll show some budget shit. And I like that you say, you don't need this. And you're also not afraid to call out some certain companies when they need calling out. Like Benchmade, for example. I know you love Benchmade, but if something's shit or something's not right, you'll say it. And I can appreciate that about you.
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing is with Benchmade, I've done several videos about their F-ups. You know, them spilling chemicals into a local creek near them and them getting fined $13,000. Them destroying weapons for the Oregon City Police Department.
Yeah.
Those weapons weren't going back on the streets. They were confiscated from bad guys. But that's probably a bad PR look to let cameras come in there and film it, right? Yeah. Their pricing that is outpacing Spyderco and other American companies. You know, I've also interviewed Montana Knife Company, who they're suing, and Tim Palatori, former President Trump's lawyer. So they know that I don't have an issue talking about the things that I think that are not the best. But at the same time, I don't have an issue reaching out to them and say, hey, that new knife you're coming out with looks pretty dope. If you want, you can send me a review copy. If not, whatever, no big deal. So just to kind of keep it real with them, you know.
So there's a question there from one of the subscribers, a buddy of mine, Dick Ritchie. Have you been able to score this one yet?
So it's crazy.
The greatest knife of all time.
Somebody commented on the video today and they said, I don't know why people are calling this the Benchmade killer because it feels like a 2-year-old made a knife. And I think that the knife itself. So one of my buddies, Jeff, over at the Den of Tools, I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he has the knife and he said, I'll send it to you if you want to check it out. And I said, man, I'll be honest with you. I would prefer you don't even spend money on the postage because I don't know if I want to make a video on it. I reacted to your video. I reacted to Taylor Martin putting it through the ringer. And so I'm just like, I think I've had my feel of the Ozark trail knife because they know what they're doing. Walmart's making it happen.
Yeah. I kind of have a good time talking shit about this knife, but I'm not really talking shit about the knife so much as so many people hyping this thing up to be more than it is. It's a freaking $10 budget knife, and there's a million other $10 budget knives. I think what everybody's so excited about is it's freaking D2. And the funny thing is everybody was shitting on D2, you know, which I'm a fan of. I like D2. I think it's a great steel. Everybody was shitting on it until you could get it for $10 at Walmart. And now it's the greatest thing ever fucking made. And, you know, so
D2. I'm so bad when it comes to which steel is best, right? And I'm kind of like, will it be okay if I take it hunting? That's my goal. How often do I have to sharpen it? And like, can it do stuff around the house? I open up turkey meat with my knife. I slice apples for my kids with my knife, cut zip ties and open packages. And a couple of times a year I go hunting. That's the hardest use for my stuff. There's a $6.95 Ozark trail knife that I carry for weeks on purpose. And that thing is fantastic for those simple ass tasks. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a good budget knife. So I need to ask you. So I saw your video where you did a critique of Taylor Martin's video where he did the torture test between the bug out and this one. And then 2-3 days later, he comes out with this other video. Do you think Benchmade got upset with him? And we're not going to throw any shade at Taylor. That's not what we're trying to do. Do you think Benchmade gave him a call and said, hey, that was kind of bullshit?
Well, I'll throw shade at him. Here's the thing. I think that
I knew you would. That's why I pitched you that softball.
Here's the thing. When I was in the Marines, when you have peers in the Marine Corps, same rank or at or below your rank, there may be some times when you got to critique each other about your boots don't look right, your collar's not great, you didn't iron your blouse before you came to work, what's up with your haircut, you didn't shave your face, that type of stuff. You're down, you're ringing it in. And that was my video critiquing him last year. Was just you're kind of just phoning it home. The video, his initial torture test, I found entertaining. I think I said that throughout the reaction to him.
You did.
But I didn't like the backpedal video. And well, let me rephrase. I didn't like the fact that he didn't, in my opinion, fully disclose to Benchmade what the hell he was going to do with the knife. Because I talked to Benchmade behind the scenes, and when I asked them to send a knife, I'm very clear what I want to do with it. Hey, can you send me the new 710 or the new Benchmade bug out aluminum, because I want to do a video. I want to compare it to this, and I give them room to tell me no, right?
Right.
So I believe, and this is just my belief, I don't know if it's true or not, I believe he reached out to them for a plain Jane bug out and may or may not have fully disclosed what he intended to do with it. If he would have purchased it, they would have been upset maybe, because Blade HQ destroyed a bug out 3 weeks ago. And Blade HQ probably gets, way more knives from Benchmade as a distributor than Taylor Martin does. And it's a difference when Blade HQ's using their own inventory that maybe they purchase versus you getting it for free. So I didn't like that he didn't stand 10 toes down in his video. I understand that for him, YouTube is a full-time business. And when you feel like your business is at jeopardy, you got to do things to curb that, right? You're a mortgage broker. If you feel like all of a sudden the government's giving away houses for socialism, maybe you need to pivot, right? And so for him, I think that he saw a component of his business was at jeopardy, and he decided to make a video about it. It was a defense video, and it is what it is. It's not a big deal,
I think that's 100% correct. What I think probably happened, and this is all just conjecture, he reached out to Benchmade and said, hey, I want to test it against this knife. And I believe him when they said they had never heard of this knife, which is part of the reason why I kind of make fun of the EDC community, calling it a bug out killer. Benchmade does not give a fuck about this knife. They've never even heard of it. You know what I mean? And so I think he reached out to them and said he wanted to test it against this and kind of left it at that. I don't think he disclosed fully that it was going to be a torture test and he was going to break it and all that kind of shit. And that probably irked him a little bit, Yeah,
I think that I do believe that that's the case. In my Discord the next day, someone in my Discord screenshotted something from his Discord or a Discord that he's in. I don't know if it's his Discord. And his response to my video was, can you believe this guy continues to have L takes and continues my sloppy seconds or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, right? And so the person in my Discord was like, can you believe he's coming at you about your video? And I was like, listen, I wish Taylor the best. He had I think my video was based. I think my opinion was based. And if your response is this L take, then I believe you're obtuse. And so I just wish you the best. And I hope you continue doing those type of content because I enjoy it. Pretty Ricky helps you with those ideas. I think he's your editor. He films it for you. So I could just wish you the best. I particularly would more like to. I've reached out to him several times to talk. He doesn't want to. I've reached out to Ben Peterson with NAF Knives he wanted us to talk. He still didn't want to. So I just wish him the best. I think that if he does a video that I think is not standing 10 toes down or he's phoning it in, I'll be making a reaction. This is the internet. The internet be interneting. It's the way I say it. And when you put yourself out there, just like if I was to put my fine ass wife out there, if he came on and did a video, I'm like, oh, his wife has horrible makeup and she looks weird. It'd be different if I never put her on the internet. Then I would be mad. But if I put her out there, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, you put something out there and you're open to criticism. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it's going to be. But I think it's great. I think I like it. I find it entertaining, you know.
Yeah, I think he's probably heading in the right direction just buying it. I don't do that much comparison stuff. I reached out to a company that was already sending me something and said, hey, do you mind if I compare it to this product? And they reached back out and said, we'd rather you didn't. We feel like they ripped off some of our features and we don't want to be in the same video. So I respected that. But if I'm buying it, say whatever you want, you know?
Right, right.
I agree with that. Wingback just came out with their new pen. I like pens. I write every day for work. And I asked them, I said, do you mind if I showed a tactile turn pen or a big idea design pen? Just give you a heads up. I'm thinking of, and they were like, you can, but we're dropping this on Kickstarter today. We kind of want our pen to be highlighted, but we can't control your content. You gave us your ethics statement. So I chose not to show a tactile turn pen. But the next video, I've done it, you know, I did the video for them. The next video, I might do a comparison. I might, you know, throw it in my pool. I don't know.
Right.
So. Yeah,
that's fair.
Makes life easy. Just to kind of keep it the disclosure with them or whatever. And
so
a lot of stuff I try to buy on my own if I can.
Yeah. You're talking, Tim?
That solves a lot of problems. You know what I mean? Just
buying it. You broke up a little bit. You mean buying it yourself?
Hello?
Yeah, you're back now, but we didn't hear the first half of what you said.
Yeah.
We heard you say that solves a lot of problems. What did you say?
It's my shitty fucking internet.
What did you say before that solves a lot of problems?
Yeah, buying it. Just buy a product. If you just buy the product instead of having it sent to you for free, you know, if I buy it, I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want about it. Yeah, I'm always glitching, man. I've got AT&T fiber optic running through my front yard, literally 3 feet from the room that I'm in, and the shit does not work. So,
hey,
if you could only pick one piece of kit, one piece of EDC gear. Fuck, hang on. Hold it down, Jake.
Not sure where you were going with that, but I'm assuming if you could pick one, what would it be? Is it a type of gear, or are you thinking individual item, Tim?
One piece of gear. I think it would be a one piece of kit, EDC
like
wise.
One type, not.
I think that, and now Jake, I think he's breaking up, so I'll just tell you, if it was one piece of kit for EDC, it would probably be a watch, like a real watch. There's I've done a video. There's 5 ways a watch can save your life. And I think that would be something I go with. It keeps time for me. You can break it and turn it into a knife with the glass on the front. You know, you can use it as a compass and help you find which way is south. So I think I would lean heavy into a real watch, a real field watch, because a knife is always a knife. But it can't tell you time and it can't help you find south. Well, I guess you could if you stick it in the ground and see which way the sun's coming or whatever. But a watch, I can kind of finagle to do different stuff. So I would lean heavy into a watch, not a smart watch, a real watch.
Yeah. And you mentioned field watch. Do you have a particular one in mind?
So if I had to keep it very simple, I would go with the Timex Scout, which is not necessarily a field watch per se. It is a very affordable watch. But I think that like what I'm wearing today is a dive watch. So like this is by VAR. In full disclosure, they sponsor videos and crap all the damn time. But with VAR, this watch, even though it's a nicer dive watch, I would destroy this in a heartbeat to get the sapphire crystal to make a knife or to do whatever with it. I think that VAR, I think Ben Roos, I think that Hamilton, I think they make some great watches. This is a dive watch specifically, but anything that didn't cost me an arm and leg, I would probably go for and just kind of make that the way that I would go with if I had to. So yeah, just a field watch in general.
Nice. Yeah, I know Tim's
I
just
was
starting to
thinking,
get into watches. I'm pretty into watches as
well,
well.
I'm just starting to get into Casio watches, cheap ass digital watches. I've been into watches, but you know, I like the Pro Diver bracelet style watch. I've got 10 or 12 of them, but lately I've caught the Casio bug. It's like I'm living middle school again in the 80s. So I've been snapping up Casios as fast as I can.
Straight up Casio or G-Shocks?
Well, I've got one G-Shock so far. The rest of them are just straight up Casio. But there's more G-Shocks that I definitely want to get. That Casio, that's kind of, they call it the Casio. It's based on the Royal Oak, sort of. That's the next one on my list. That one's pretty freaking sweet.
The Casio. I need to look that up. I don't have my pen here, but I will write that down.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
What about you, though? One. What about y'all, though? You asked me the one thing, and it'd be a watch. This is probably out of the ordinary. But what, Jake, Tim, what, I guess Jake first, what would be the one and done EDC item you would go with?
For me, it'd probably be a knife, just because that's what I've been carrying since Boy Scouts. I've always had a knife on me. I feel naked without it. I like to carry flashlights and things like that, but I feel like probably some sort of fixed blade.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about this before the show because I knew I was going to ask you that question, and I was kind of going back and forth between a knife and a watch, believe it or not, because you can do a whole hell of a lot with a watch. I didn't think about breaking the crystal to use it as a cutting implement, so that's good. But for me, it would have to be a fixed blade knife from Blackwater Knife Company dropping soon. The Bonefish coming soon. Warncliffe, sway back, finger choil. No, I think so yeah, that's my newest knife coming soon, you guys. Probably a fixed blade. You know, fixed blade's more durable, more dependable. You can beat the shit out of it. You can dig with it, chop with it, cut with it. You don't have to clean it. You know, it's just a sturdier knife than a folder. So, yeah, I had to plug my knife. Probably a fixed blade. I think first and foremost, I'm a knife guy more than an EDC guy. Like you and Jake. Jake's a knife guy, but he's more of an EDC guy than me, and so are you. Obviously, I'm trying to be a better EDC guy, but I've always been kind of a minimalist. You know what I mean? I'm like wallet, keys, knife. I'm good, you know?
Yeah. So a lot of times I can agree with you on that, especially if I'm going to be wearing a loadout for 14 hours. Minimalism, right? You know?
Yeah.
But I am more of an EDC guy, mainly because a lot of stuff I think about has to do with prep, the what if. You know, what if we have an EMP? Highly unlikely, but I think about that type of shit, you know, and or what if I'm 35 miles away from the house, we get an EMP and I got to walk home? Highly unlikely, but I think about that type of stuff. I have an EMP shield on my truck. If my truck gets struck by lightning, it can keep running. You know, I always think about silly, crazy stuff like that. And so a knife, I feel like, you know, I could in theory make one out of a rock if I got a lot of time, a creek nearby, you know, other rocks to hone it with. But you know, I can't really make a watch, if that makes sense.
So if you think about that stuff, then you're a conspiracy theorist, aren't you? Do you have some like? Do you think they're going to intentionally shut down the power?
I think that you can't be my friend.
We're all going to be.
In my opinion, you can't hang out with me or be my buddy if you don't have a little bit of a conspiracy in your body. It doesn't have to have a lot, right? But you got to have a little bit of conspiracy theory in your body. If you have a little bit too much, then I might hang out with you for a drink. Then I might be like, hey, you know, I've had too much after one drink and go home. But but I do think not intentionally shutting down power and stuff like that. I don't. Is it possible? Yeah, I think it could be a possibility. But when I see stuff in our justice system and how shitty it's been looking for the last 8 years, and I see stuff in our power grid and just how Texas's power grid is just in ERCOT has just been shitty over the last 5 years. There's a little bit of conspiracy. I mean, it kind of makes me prep my truck a little bit more than others and have a little bit more ARs than others. But, maybe that's just me.
It's not just you. I think there's a lot of us out there. I think some people don't talk about it so much because they don't want to be labeled as one of those tinfoil hat guys.
Right.
I think some of the conspiracy goes too far, but I think a lot of it is justified. Not just if they intentionally shut down the power grid, but I think there's like evidence that the shit's getting overloaded. I mean, it happens in Texas all the time where they have brownouts, blackouts, and you're without power for weeks at a time. Folks got to be prepared for that because, shit could happen. That's why I grow tomatoes.
Tomatoes, oh my God. Or be like the Martian and grow potatoes. My ride or die one EDC item will be a church key, says Space Ghost. Really?
Church key.
Listen, I have church key. Are you talking about like the old school keys? Like I remember old school doors where you can literally look through the door and you had to use a key. Those doors had me traumatized. I remember I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and we had old school doors like that where you can see through the keyhole. And I remember being like 7 or 8 years old and looking through the keyhole and seeing my mom go 20 toes with a guy. And so ever since then, I'm like, I don't want keyholes in my freaking house and stuff like that. But yeah, church key, that's crazy.
That's funny. I like picking locks occasionally just for the heck of it. Have all my lock picks, practice that. Never once had any practical use for it. The other day on my community page on Facebook, someone's like, I'm locked out of my house. Does anyone know who a locksmith that'll come down at 11 at night? They tell my wife, like, hey, is it weird if I go to this lady's house to pick her lock?
And give it a go?
Yeah. Just some practical use,
You're asking preliminary questions. Is it the doorknob or the deadbolt? Like, which one is it?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that might be kind of weird. It's funny. That just reminds me of a story completely off the wall. So I was at the post office the other day shipping out a knife for the pass around group. And there was a little kid in front of me. And all I heard him say to the lady behind the counter at the post office was, do you have some candy? And the first thing that crossed my mind was, hey, little boy, I got some candy in my truck. Because I had literally just stopped at Dollar General and got a pack of Twizzlers, right?
Right.
So that shit almost came out of my mouth, and I was like, "Oh no, don't do that." And then the little kid walked out, so I told the lady behind the counter, I was like, "You know what? I almost just told that little boy I had some candy in my truck," and then I thought better of it, and just pretty funny. That shit almost slipped out like. Who's this creepy old man telling me to come get some candy out of his truck? I was like, this is some straight out of a movie bullshit right here.
Yeah, I would have been seeing you on the news.
But it's so crazy because people are so quick to throw around the word pedophile. I'm paraphrasing and stuff like that. And I can remember in the 90s, that wasn't an unusual. My granddaddy used to take me to go get a corned beef sandwich. We would go inside the shop and they would chop the corned beef and they would give you trim if you wanted extra fat and you get it on Jewish rye bread and you get the mustard, you get Swiss cheese and and people in line are talking because we're all waiting around for a freaking corned beef sandwich. And that wouldn't be unusual for me to ask my granddaddy for candy and somebody to say, I got candy outside. If you give me that wasn't unusual in the 90s. Right. And now, just like I say, for me, also dogs used to be dogs in the 90s. Nowadays, people are taking around dogs and wagons and carts and Target. And for me, a dog used to be chained in the yard. And if a dog jumped the fence, you no longer had a dog. So I don't know. A lot of things change that I don't think needs to change.
Right. And when I initially thought about it, it was perfectly innocent. It was like a little kid. He was like 7 years old. I don't know what the hell he was in the post office by himself, but I was just going to give him some candy. But then I immediately thought, man, you old ass man telling this little boy to come to your truck and get some candy. That shit, I'd have been on the evening news, man.
As long as you're not in a white van with a big curtain, I think you'll be fine.
You haven't seen Tim's van? That. It's got the sickest white van. The little Sprinter van. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Got the floral curtains up there.
Hey, my granddaddy used to have a big old van, and I used to want one so bad. He had was it the Econo van, the big ones that he had those in the late '80s, and I remember we used to go fishing and sleep in the back of them, and I used to want one. Now that I'm grown, I'm like, I don't need a van. That's weird, but
yeah. So let's see, how has your EDC changed or evolved over time since you've been on YouTube, or since you've become a father of 17 children or whatever it
is? Yeah, I got 5 kids. I think Mrs. X is freaking fine as wine. So I got fixed last summer though. So
all right, more of that. You're done.
Yeah. The way it's changed, I guess, is as much as I fall in love with an item, I allow myself to try the newest because I do EDC content. But things that have changed, I would say, is the introduction of a sling or a bag is almost always in my kit because I got kids. When those kids get older, I got a 15-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Once those kids phase out of diapers and phase out of a change of clothes, just in case he pisses himself at a birthday party, it's going to evolve again. And maybe I'll have on body carry only and no longer carry a bag. But I say the biggest thing that has changed is almost always having a bag on me, whether it's a tote, a sling, or a backpack.
Yeah. What about you, Jake? How has your carry or your EDC evolved since you've been on YouTube?
No, I probably carry less bags than I used to. I used to carry a bag every single day. But since I started a YouTube channel, I also started a business. So I'm not going into the office, don't leave as often. So I'm not taking a bag to the grocery store. If I go to if you see me at a knife show or local events, which I try and go to pretty often, I'll always have a bag. But just day to day, I probably carry less and changed the pants that I'm wearing. So I almost exclusively am wearing 511 pants to accommodate carrying more knives. So I use those mag pockets for a fixed blade, my folder, the 5th pocket for a slip joint, just to be able to carry and test out more gear. So I probably wasn't wearing any of that. I had a couple pairs, but before I started the channel, now I'm carrying more on my person and less bags, actually.
Yeah, you sound like me because I have 511 trousers that I wear when I do DIY crap because I don't care what happens to them, and they just always come out looking good. But I can't really transition my 511 trousers to go out to dinner with the wife. So a lot of times Vertex has sent me trousers, which I'm a huge fan of. I like their mag pockets and stuff as well. And I do find myself wearing their crap all the time. I'm wearing Vertex shorts as we speak. So it just makes life where I find reasons to have a piece of kit on me, whether I'm testing it or I'm carrying it or whatever.
Yep. What about you, Tim?
I think just shit that I was never into before. So this, Jake, and some of my subscribers that have been subscribers for a long time. I'm fucking opinionated, right? And I don't know. I'm an asshole. I'm a nice guy, but I'm an asshole. I was very anti-Swiss Army knife. I was like, these things are cheap, pot steel, ugly red bullshit, right? But now I'm going down that Swiss Army knife rabbit hole. I was very anti-EDC pouch. I was like, I'm not carrying no man purse bullshit. Then I got a pouch. Then I got a sling bag, right? Then a few flashlights. So I don't know. I think it's just different gear that I was so opposed to before. But at the same time, my everyday carry hasn't grown and become bloated and swollen. I'm still a minimalist. You know what I mean? I'm more open to trying other things that I wasn't open to trying before.
I think I'm a maximalist when it comes to everyday carry. I like to be, what happens is if in the moment you stroke my EDC ego, it makes me want to make sure I have it next time. We went to a kid's birthday party Saturday, and the broad that she rented a house and she Airbnb'd a house in the country, and they didn't do any prep work for being in the country. I'm talking about they Airbnb'd a house that had donkeys next door and horses on one side, and they wanted to throw a backyard party. And we're in early fall, and when it got dark, the table wasn't lighted, and there wasn't flashlights to see the kids playing in the dark in the bounce house, and no one had bug spray. I had all that shit. So it's just like, I go get my Olight lantern out my truck, and I light up the food so people can see the desserts, and I put and I got flashlights in the truck, and people can see their kids in the bounce house. And I got all these wives. My wife is out there, and she's impressed. She's like, yeah, my husband always has everything. I got all these other broads who are just like happy that he's here. And I'm like, yeah, next time I'm gonna make sure I got that stuff with me.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely put myself in the maximalist category as well. Funny, you'll be out and someone like, does anyone have scissors? And I'll pop up like, have you considered a knife?
Now, I keep all that shit in my truck, right? You know what I mean? I got a bag and I got all that in my truck, but I think on my person, I'm still pretty minimal. It's like a pocket fixed blade and a wallet. You know what I mean? I
no flashlight.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm on the edge of that rabbit hole. Like it
can come into handy a lot of times, more often than you think. You're looking for something underneath your car. You use the cell phone light, and that might work. Yeah. But it would be nice to have a $15 Ace beam in your pocket. So,
but I mean, I'm never too far from my stuff. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't necessarily have it on my person, but I'm never too far from it. Like I've got a light and tools and all that stuff in the truck, in the house, in the garage, in every room. There's flashlights, but am I necessarily going to carry it? Not always, So I was going to ask you, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it's the same thing with my wife's vehicle. She has shit in there she doesn't even know about. Right. She had a buddy who caught a flat, and they called us. They were only about a mile from our house, so they called us, and so I rode up there on my bike, one of my e-bikes. I rode up there, and my wife drove her vehicle, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't find this. I don't have a spare on my vehicle, and And her battery died because while she was waiting for the AAA, she ran her AC." She ran her DC power without the engine started, so she ran her AC with the engine off, and it killed her battery. And I popped my wife's trunk, and I'm like, oh, I got all this. And my wife's like, when did you put this in my vehicle? I'm like, hey, listen, you never know when you're gonna need that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got some pretty badass. I've seen some of those little that folks have sent you. Some nice little pieces of kit some folks have sent you. Now, if somebody wanted to send me something like that, I'd probably say, yeah, go on and send it, because I'm going to put one in every vehicle.
What happens is every week I do a weekly EDC deal video, and those companies want to be a part of the video. And so what I'll tell them is, you can sponsor the video, but you got to send me the kit, because if I don't like it, you can't be you can't be a part of the video. So people send me jump starters or air compressors for your tires or whatever, and I like the shit, and I'll be like, okay, I like it. Give me a discount code for the folks that watch the video, pay me some money, and you can get 30 seconds at the beginning of the video and to talk about your piece of kit.
What about Zippos? Are you into Zippos? Yeah. How do you do fire? Is it Zippo or Bic lighter? What's your choice?
Bic lighters I have literally a Bic lighter here in the man cave for just lighting incense. I smoke sticks, so butane is my buddy. Because I like, Bics will ruin the taste of a stick for me personally. I like Zippos with a butane insert. So I take the Zippo fuel out, throw it away immediately, and put a butane insert inside my Zippos. I would love it if Zippo would sponsor some content, because I'm always buying their crap, and they're American made. So I would love it. But
doesn't Case own Zippo, Jake? Doesn't Case?
I think the other way around, but yeah.
Zippo owns Case?
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
I doubt
they don't really send stuff out either.
Yeah, they're not sponsoring shit ever.
They don't have a need to, though. Like Benchmade doesn't sponsor videos. Benchmade sends stuff out, but they don't sponsor videos because they don't need to. They're a household name. If I ask Mrs. X to name some everyday carry items, she can say SAK. She doesn't know what Victorinox is, but she can say Swiss Army knife.
Right.
She can say Case, maybe not. She can say Buck.
Yeah.
And she can say Benchmade and Leatherman.
Yeah. That's another thing too. I was always anti multi-tool. I've never been a multi-tool guy, but I'm trying. Now, I'm not starting with a Leatherman because I'm not going to spend $200 and then be like, I'm never going to use this piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But I picked up a little Nex tool and a couple other ones that I'm giving them a fair shake to see if it's for me or not.
Yeah, those companies. Well, first off, if you want companies to send you some crap, I'm always like Roxxon, Next Tool. I'll put you in contact with them because they're always wanting to send stuff over, and I'm always saying no. But I kind of agree with you. I was not a multi-tool guy until we bought this house. This was a hoarder house. The lady who owned this house was a real estate broker, and she treated this house like a 4,000 square foot storage unit. She owned another house, and she lived in that house and just kept shit in this house.
Oh wow!
And a house is a living, breathing thing,
right?
And she never ran the AC. She rarely ran water through the pipes. Never flushed the toilets, and so she didn't turn her pool on for 20 years. So when I got a hold of the house, the city was about to actually take the house from her, from so many notices. So when I got the house, multi-tool made a lot of sense because I was always doing stuff around the house where I just kind of wish I had pliers on me. Or I wish I had a slotted screwdriver on me, and it multi-tools crept into my kit. But before that, I was with you 100%. If I need the tools, I'll just walk out to my toolbox.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to give it a shot. I keep one here on my desk, one in the kitchen junk drawer. You know what I mean? So I don't have to go to the toolbox and get the pliers or whatever, the screwdriver. So I just have it always. But I mean, the jury's still out on that. I don't know if I'm a full-on multi-tool guy yet. I've found a few occasions to use them. I've really found more occasion to use this little freaking pocket screwdriver more than anything for I don't know why outlet covers seem to find a way to always come loose, but they always do. You know what I mean? Outlet covers, doorknobs. I've got kids, so the doorknobs always get loose. The little knobs on drawers, like your dresser drawers and stuff. So this is really handy, this little pocket screwdriver. So
yeah, I think a lot of times just that type of stuff can find itself to be more handy than not. If I go with my wife to one of her girlfriend's houses who have zero tools or just the Walmart box of tools they bought, that's not
pink hammer and
and a lot of times I'll figure out ways to use my multi. Like I'll sit, I go into her restroom and the toilet seat's always down because it's a house full of broads, and then I go lift it up for the first time in 3 months and the seat's loose. I'm like, hey, you want me to tighten the seat for you? And then next thing you know, I got a multi. So small stuff like that is when it comes in handy. And I like Max Level EDC because he's an obvious everyday carry channel, but if he could just carry a multi-tool only in a flashlight, he would. He carried the original Leatherman Wave from the late 90s for years, and so I ordered through new Leatherman Arc, and when I get it, my intent is to carry no pocket knife and just carry the Arc for a couple of weeks and see how, because the Magna Cut blade is, in my opinion, unless you carry if you don't carry a multi-tool on your body every single day, there's no reason to buy a Leatherman. They're just too expensive. And so I'm going to carry it on my body every day to see what is all the hype about the Arc, because I like my free P4, but I don't carry it every day.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I didn't jump straight into Leatherman. I'm not going to spend $200 if it's something that I'm just not going to be into or whatever. So I want to ask you this. We're running up against time. You're in Texas. I believe you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Are you going to Blade Show Texas? Is it in March?
It's in February. I go every year.
Are you?
Yeah, I go every year. Well, let me rephrase that. Since I started this channel, I've been every year. And it's interesting because in everyday care, there's not a lot of black folks creating content, or a lot of black folks go to blade shows. So I'm 6'2", 230 pounds, right? So I'm easily identifiable at a blade show, and I got dreadlocks, right? And so it's like, but I still enjoy myself. I kind of wanted to go to Blade Texas or Blade West out in Utah. And Daily Carry Co. has a new owner, and he lives in Utah. And I thought about going out there just to meet him. But I like going to blade shows just to see smaller knife creators or knife makers who are really trying to get a footprint out there and to
Yeah.
see what type of stuff they got. You know, and meet new people there, possibly collab. That's what I really enjoy about it. I want to go to some overland expos as well, but a lot of those either require me to go to Colorado or Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did my first Blade Show Atlanta, this past summer. What, it was in June.
Where do you live?
I live in Pensacola, Florida, Northwest
Okay.
Florida.
Mhm.
So on the Gulf Coast, I'm about as far west in Florida as you can go. I'm like 5 minutes from the Alabama line. So
Yeah.
where I live in Florida is more Alabama than it is
Mhm.
Florida. Ain't no
Mhm.
palm trees and speedos around here. It's fucking rednecks and backwoods. You know what I mean? Deer stands, and it's Alabama basically. But
Jake,
I
where do
went
you
to.
live?
I'm out in California. Also, I do Blade Atlanta every year. Want to do all three next year. I think I'll do all three next year, and then I do local shows, a lot of local stuff. California has
Gotcha.
a CCKS twice a year. We have Cal Knives. We have Solvane every other year, and then a couple small pop-up things. So
Yeah, you
decent
got a
amount out
lot of
here.
cool shows around there in Southern California. He's got all kind of cool stuff. Here where I'm at, there's nothing. I mean, Atlanta's the closest thing. It was pretty overwhelming though.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was crazy. Like, I spent the whole first day just walking around going,
Yeah.
holy shit. You know what I mean? And then I
But I
found
really-
myself on Sunday running around just taking pictures of folks from the YouTube and EDC community, because I spent the first 2 days just with my jaw hanging open.
So I know for a lot, what I've been really I really want to push a company to make a creators event. I've been talking to the owner, Daily Carry Code, because I want him. He lives in Utah's beautiful areas that you can overland and you can go to. I want him to create a creators event where it's going to be on his dime, but fly a bunch of creators out, get your products in their hands, but get us in different environments. We can create content, YouTube videos, where you see some of your favorite creators all in one spot, using gear, hanging out. It creates hype. A lot of other, like Sony does it with Sony cameras. They'll fly beauty creators out. They'll fly toy creators, camera creators out to Sony Condo and Creators Camp. I want to see something like that in the EDC world, where a company just unapologetically flies creators out, sponsors it. Their logos all over the place, getting our gear in their hands. But it's really just to show that that everyday carry can go beyond just the guy who carries a lot of crap in his pocket. It's an actual people that you can see.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that would be freaking awesome. I can't see too many people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Benchmade, Spyderco, maybe CIVIVI these days, since they're all big time now. They're up in Walmart.
No, I think it's got to be a company that works with other companies, something like a Battle Box, a Going Gear, SMKW. Partner up with a couple different brands and
do something like that.
Yeah,
SMKW is a good shout. They might be
real
up
good
for
one.
something like that. Yeah,
and they have the terrain. They have the I mean, out there in Tennessee, it's just such a nice environment. I don't know if they want to do it in Gatlinburg or maybe they want to do it near Mississippi or whatever, but that will be just a unique event to see creators in one spot. And maybe I'll meet Taylor Martin there. I don't know. And,
there you go.
Somebody earlier in the chat said we need a what is it, a cage match, X and Taylor Martin cage match. I kind of have a feeling I know how that one would go.
So listen, I told Pretty Ricky just months ago, probably over a year ago, I said, why don't you I tell Taylor Martin we can box. So me and Taylor Martin can box. Because I used to be a Marine Corps martial arts instructor. So let's not do cage, because I don't want to do any of the crap I used to teach in the Marine Corps. Just hands only. Let's just do a boxing match. And he ha-ha'd about it for a while. And I was like, that might be interesting. Maybe maybe I've lost a tooth in a fight. I got a fake tooth in my mouth. I said, and so I said, it might be an interesting thing to see. I would still be down to do it. It might be fun. We can donate to charity for whatever money's raised for people to come out to see it. That'd be something fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that in this space yet.
Yeah,
hey, we could have it at SMKW, the content creator event, the EDC event. Yeah, we sell the
I mean,
shit
Taylor's
load
not
out
a
of
small
space.
dude, man. He got some freaking guns on him.
Oh, and you know
Never
what?
know.
He's been hitting the weights, man. The last video I saw him, he was looking swole.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm pleasantly plump. I'm about 2 biscuits away. So
Yeah,
there's
we
a
all
possibility.
getting older, man. We're all
You know.
getting older, but he's been hitting the weights. He might take you. He might.
I mean, I will prep for the fight. I told Mrs. X, I was telling her about what was going on with Taylor Martin and stuff like that, and she was just like, well, you know, she's like, he sounds, because his story with Taylor Martin is he started with CNET, and then he started working for Pocket Now, and he was creating content for Pocket Now. So what I've said about him is that he's always wanted to be on the internet. You know, he's always wanted to be and he landed in EDC. I don't know his backstory, but EDC worked for him. Yeah. And so it's okay to just own that. And she kind of identified that when I was like, hey, you know, and she was like, she wouldn't mind seeing it as well, that type of stuff. She just thinks that it's just like the things that I've said and did in the past is just not that big of a deal to be butthurt about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody in the chat has jumped on palm trees and Speedos because I said my part of Florida is not palm trees and Speedos. So we're not changing the name of the live stream to palm trees and Speedos. I do not have a freaking covert account named palm trees and Speedos, but I'm definitely doing a video this week called palm trees and Speedos.
There you go.
You just have to tune in and see. Well, we are up against the clock, fellas. Jake, you got anything else?
Yeah, I guess before we drop off, I just wanted to plug Marine X has some products over on his website, which I'm going to drop in the chat now. Definitely make sure to check that out. These things you're doing a lot yourself, right?
Yeah, so the thing I'm thinking about dropping next is probably going to be this tray you see right here. This is a piece of walnut. This is my EDC tray that I sell on my website. I'm about to come out with version 2, which will be this, which will be gold pound sand in the middle. My logo here, and just this is where I dump all my shit every single day. I have several of these around, and this is kind of what I'll probably be pumping out next. Because I don't want to sell quote unquote merch, because I like t-shirts and hats, but that gets a little tired, and so a lot of stuff that I sell is more slated towards stuff that may be more useful for everyday carry.
Right.
So this is probably version 2 of this is going to probably be dropping soon. But other than that, I don't do too much merchy type stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about the coffee? Don't you have like a Marine X bean or something? A roast out there?
Coffee. I don't roast coffees because I don't want to. But a coffee roaster reached out to me. He made a Marine X blend of coffee, and we need to work on it some more because it's really good for drip coffee. But I drink a lot of espresso, so I need it to be a little. He needs to just tune it a little bit more before I'm willing to sell it. Because you know it just. When I drink espresso, I drink my coffee black, no milk, no cream, no sugar. And it's just it's not tart enough. It's not strong enough. So we need to work on that.
All right.
Nice.
All right. You guys make sure to, I know everybody here that is subscribed to me or Jake or here at the show is already subscribed to X on YouTube. I know you guys are following him on Instagram. But just make sure you check out his videos, give him a thumbs up, follow him across all social medias, and support what he's doing. I'm a big fan of yours, brother. I appreciate what you're doing for the community, and I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Most definitely. Yeah. When I start season 3 of the Mantuary podcast, which is in hiatus, I need to have y'all on for sure. Shoot the shit and react to some content.
And anytime you want to jump on, if you've got something to promote, any kind of new merch, any new product, or you just want to get on and shoot the shit, just reach out. We would love to have you on.
Most definitely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, likewise. Appreciate you coming on.
All right.
We'll hang out for a couple minutes after we drop off the live.
Yep.
Okay.
Next week we will be over on Jake's channel. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you guys then.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
And here's that awkward.